Blog Talk Radio.
Let me tell you how we do it. There ain't nothing to it. We're gonna get right to it. You ready? You ready? This is the ProMMANow.com radio network.
In a weird situation, it is not fight week for us. So tonight, for the first hour, Juan Valley and I will discuss some interesting topics out there in the world of MMA and how they pertain to local and regional mixed martial arts. Are they problems, perceived problems, potential problems? I don't know. We'll talk about it. Second hour, we're going to dig into the Pinnacle Fighting Championship card that goes down in just a couple of weeks. Adam Milstead's going to join us. We're also going to have Mark Cherico, allegedly, and Luis Guerra will join us. Guerra and Cherico fight for the professional featherweight title in Pittsburgh. So sit back, relax. World Cup's over. This is Bluegrass MMA Live.
Now tuned into the motherfucking greatest.
Fighters first, fans always. The Ohio Valley's #1 source for MMA. Broadcasting on the ProMMANow.com radio network. Brought to you by Bangtown Fightwear. This is Bluegrass MMA Live. And now, here are your hosts, Juan Valley and Gary Thomas.
You could be anywhere in the world, but you're right here with us, and we love you for that. This is Bluegrass MMA Live, episode 180, on this Tuesday, July 1st, in the year of our Lord 2014. And we are sponsored by Bangtown Fightwear. Make sure you go out, support those who support us at BangtownFightwear.com. You can follow them on Twitter at BangtownBT. Like them on Instagram or follow them. You know, they're out there in the social media world. Check them out. Also, the show is sponsored by Audible.com. Audible.com is the leading provider of spoken audio entertainment and information. Listen to audiobooks whenever, wherever, however you want. Get a free book when you sign up for a 30-day free. You notice that? Free book when you sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com. audibletrial.com/ProMMA now. They got great stuff, podcasts, books, and all that, but we are off and running. New month. It's not fight week. It's kind of odd. Juan Valley, what are you doing for the 4th of July?
You know,
You gonna get your audiobook? Go to the lake and just kind of relax?
If by lake you mean Ohio River, the beautiful, majestic Ohio River, yes, I will be there with my cabana, and I'm going to hire you to be my cabana boy to bring me cocktails and read my Audible.com book.
Well, first of all, you don't read your Audible.com book. You listen to it. Their audiobook one. I really would like to find a lawyer who would help me bring up some form of litigation against the Ohio public school system because I feel like they cheated Juan out of an education. That he cheated himself out of an education.
Hey, I was having fun instead of learning, okay? I mean, who doesn't?
But that being said, thank you all for tuning in. However you came to find us, whether it be iTunes, Stitcher, Live Sportscaster, we love you. A little different. There are no guests this first hour unless you want to call in at 347-884-9986. We're going to recap this past weekend. We normally don't get to do that. So we're going to talk about, for the first few minutes, talk about our experience this weekend. Then we've got some topics. I think some of our views, Juan, may be not what some of our friends and fans want to hear, but should be fun, right?
No, exactly. I'm sure some people will be a little upset. Although that's kind of interesting that you say that, because me and you, we didn't discuss our topics beforehand, which we probably should have done.
I feel like we're probably on the same page, which is
I agree. I agree. We probably are on the same page, but we do it best by winging it. No, that is very strange. We never agree on anything.
Well, we know what the topics are, so we both know what we're going to say, right?
Yes, we do. I assume. Although I can't read your mind, I'm not certain.
First of all, Juan was at Turf Wars number 19 this Saturday night at Turfway Park. I'm a little upset, Juan. I'm a little upset.
Why are you upset?
I didn't get to go. I was at another event, but I was very excited and pumped at the thought of an outdoor show, and that didn't happen.
No, it did not happen, and you should be happy. Actually, you shouldn't be happy. You should be happy you weren't there, of course, because I walked in, and it was about 7 o'clock. Show started at 8 o'clock. For those of you familiar with Turfway Park, you kind of know what I'm talking about. For those of you who are not, the indoors is all enclosed. It's a whole glass window on the front, so you can obviously look onto the track during the horse races.
Which is awesome. Awesome.
It is awesome view. But there's no windows, so it's kind of like a greenhouse almost. So when the heat comes in, it doesn't really escape. And you walk in, and within a few feet, you're just sweating. Like, I was dripping sweating. Thankfully, the promoters, Rod and Carrie and Steven, had some water cage side to at least cool us down. And, of course, because we couldn't leave willy-nilly and go to concession stands like the fans. But no, it was hot. So
I love it.
So just be happy you didn't come there. Although you did miss a phenomenal event, I will say that.
I'm very proud of Jesse Ray Childrey and his professional debut against a tough Jim Davis. We talked to Jim Davis last week. The sportsmanship that I've seen after the fact is just one of the main reasons that I will, for now and for always, be a fan of mixed martial arts.
Absolutely. The two, I mean, granted, there was no beef or anything, no words exchanged beforehand. So there wasn't, anything to expect otherwise out of the two. But after the fight was over, Jim, to me, he has that badass persona to him. So you kind of think that he's an asshole, he's a dick, until you actually get to talk to him and chat with him.
But he's not that way at all.
He's not that way at all, and so I'm just imagining what other people are thinking who haven't had the opportunity to chat with him. So they're seeing the same thing that I would assume, just an asshole dick kind of personality. But after the fight was over, Chaudhry, obviously victorious, went over to Davis. Of course, you can see all this on the BluegrassMMA.com. We do have the video of the fight up on there. But Chaudhry went over to Davis, basically, as all fighters do after the fight, they say, there's a great opportunity to fight you, blah, blah, blah. The two hugged it out inside the cage. And it didn't end there like it usually does. After the fight was over, they continued chatting, and what I thought was different and in itself awesome was Davis had custom shirts made for his walkout shirts, and he gave Chaudhry one, and they posted for pictures afterwards, which I thought was great. And then it continued on to social media, where the two were praising each other, going back and forth. Just all around, great stuff out of the two. And like you said, it's the reason why I will always love this sport, because you won't necessarily see that out of some of the other sports.
Didn't see that at the World Cup today.
No, unfortunately you didn't. My heart is broken, man. I was wanting USA to go.
Another fight that caught my attention would be Steve Bell getting knocked out by Keith Cunningham. Was that, we were talking back and forth, and Steve Bell got KTFO.
Yeah, he got, for lack of better words, knocked the fuck out. I broke my golden rule. I cussed on that.
You did. You've done it twice already. I'm so embarrassed.
We should just end the show now. Just call it a night. It's done.
That's Adam Goldman.
No, yeah, Stephen Bell, man. Wow. He's just not had good luck as a professional. His amateur career was spectacular, and then just as of late as professional, just not living up to it as he was an amateur. But no,
1-3 now as pro.
Right. They were the main event. Keith Cunningham, who was originally supposed to fight, at least according to the officials, Corey Hill. Right, but for whatever reason, that kind of fell through. So Stephen Bell stepped up to the plate, and they went at it, and it only took 29 seconds. Keith, from what I can recollect now, didn't throw one punch but the knockout punch. And he just, one hit, Steve Bell went out cold standing, fell to the ground, legs, arms extended, and then just a few seconds later, he came to, and he started to, maneuver because he thought he got taken down, so he's trying to get the ghost, per se, because Keith was nowhere near him, the ghost into the guard. And the referee, Chris Kinman, had to kind of, bring Steve to, hey, fight's over, you got knocked out. And once Steve realized that, you could see the disappointment on his face because he did not see that coming. Nobody's seen that coming. And it's just unreal. And I feel bad for Steven because I really like the guy. We've had him on our radio program before. Just all-around awesome guy. I've seen him fight numerous times, and I kind of wanted to see him get that win, because like we just said, his pro career hasn't been what I would have expected.
Speaking of disappointments, up now on BluegrassMMA.com, Charlie Stanford supposed to fight Ultimate Fighter vet Robert Browning, and Browning just kind of disappeared.
Disappeared on him, nowhere to be found. And so I looked at Browning's Facebook page, and a couple people reached out to him the day before and the day of, hey, contact Turf Wars. We haven't heard from you. So it's just kind of a city situation that happens to be a recurring theme within the local MMA community. Thankfully, though, I will say, and maybe you can agree or attest, but this has not been as big of a problem as of late, at least not to what I've noticed. I mean, it sucks. It really does suck, not only for the fighter who was scheduled to fight, but also the fans of the fighter, just fans in general who come to the event, and the fight camp in general. It just sucks.
Yeah, it's definitely a situation that wasn't fun at all. And we're going to talk more about that later in the program. But if you've not checked it out, go to BluegrassMMA.com. We've got the recap, all your results up from Turf Wars 19. Turf Wars 20 goes down August the 16th, back at the beautiful Turfway Park, which I love. It's a venue that it's really grown on me. Saturday night, I was in Owensboro, Kentucky, at the next level for Kira Christensen's Indestructible Fight Club. Of course, Kira, we've had her on the program several times. She runs a promotion, the IFC up in Indiana. Also, this was their sophomore event in Kentucky. We had 14 fights. She had to deal with some fighters backing out. And if you go to my recap, Juan, I don't know if you read it, but this is what kind of stuck out. This is fights come and go. I mean, yeah, there was a great knockout on the card, some great submissions, a weird main event. But, in the fighters meet, she's telling people, I feel like some of you guys take advantage of me, and I let that happen because it comes to a point where she tries harder than most. She was willing to have a fighter brought in from Chicago, 4 hours away. She was going to have somebody go drive to them, bring them to the event, and take them home. So we're talking 16 hours on the road for one fight to happen. And this fighter kept making excuses why they didn't want to do it, why they couldn't do it. And her husband, Dan, UFC vet Dan Christensen, is he's not going to fight, give it up. And she wouldn't give it up, to the point where she almost started crying right there in the fighters meeting, but she had 14 fights, 2 female fights on the card that were pretty good. Raquel Brown. I don't know if you remember her from the Hard Rock show out of Rock's KO, but this girl comes with some thunder in the gloves. She demolished Cassandra Palmer. Palmer had the experience. I think she was 3-2 going into that. Raquel was 1-0, and got a slick knockout. Erica Fincher came in and got a big rear naked choke submission win. So the two female fights were great. The main event, Justin Decker, one of our friends. Let's talk about this. Justin Decker from the Pain Factory in Litchfield. Great guy. Multiple time champion as an amateur. Lost his professional debut to Charlie Stanford. He's fighting Michael Ricketts, and it was his pro debut. So Decker's 0-1. Ricketts is making his professional debut on like a 6-fight winning streak. And Ricketts, the first round was pretty back and forth. They slammed each other a couple times. I felt Ricketts was probably putting the pressure on a little bit more. In the second round, Decker found himself kind of in a bad spot. Not a spot that is like a fight-ending spot. You know what I'm saying? It's not like he was mounted, but he was in a bad spot on the ground. And Sean Brockmo stops the fight because he says he saw Decker tap. Now, Decker says he didn't tap. We'll have to go to the video to kind of see what happens. But I didn't see him tap. That doesn't mean anything. Where I was sitting probably wasn't the best vantage point, but it was just kind of an odd ending to the fight. Like, I don't believe Decker would have tapped, but I wasn't in there. I didn't see what Sean saw. Sean's one of the best in the business, hands down. But it's just kind of an odd way to cap off a big night. The ghost tap.
Oh, no, dude, that would have sucked. Do you know
his wife
Decker
was probably madder than he was.
through Decker's?
Yeah.
Do you know if he's going to try and appeal the outcome?
I don't.
He's going to let it go?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it's all going to depend on what the video shows.
Right. From your vantage point, do you think the camera got a better angle of it, or was the camera more towards you?
The camera was right next to me.
Oh,
But two great events. Like I said, Turf Wars back on August the 16th. Kira's got a show coming up in, I believe, Dale, Indiana, kickboxing show, and she'll probably be back in Owensboro at the next level pretty soon. You can check out the results and the recaps. Both are up on BluegrassMMA.com. Now, some topics we want to discuss tonight. The big news. We'll start because we already have a caller who wants to talk about this. The big news that came out, and this has been going on for a couple weeks now. Chael Sonnen, who was suspended 3 years ago for elevated testosterone levels. One of the first, I think Nate Marquardt was the first to really get popped for this, but we saw Chael probably a little more high profile than Marquardt. Got popped, did a year on the shelf for testosterone, came back, got his exemptions through the Nevada State Athletic Commission, was fought 5 times since then.
I like how you counted. I heard you. 1, 2.
Yeah, I was thinking I was naming his opponents in my head. But earlier this year, Nevada says no more TRT. Okay. Chael has his fight originally against Vanderlei Silva. Vanderlei runs from a drug test, allegedly. Blames confusion, whatever. So they bring in Vitor Belfort, who was originally supposed to fight Chris Weidman this weekend in the main event of UFC 175, but he had elevated testosterone levels at the time. Just a big old mess. Well, in a surprise random test, Chael gets busted for they weren't performance enhancers so much. One was like an estrogen blocker, and one was a hormone that he claims his doctor was prescribing to him to wean him off of testosterone and to help him produce healthy sperm to procreate, which, come to find out, his wife was pregnant. So, came out, he retired. He's going to face a suspension. He retired, though, and everything seemed to be good. He was still in good standings with the UFC. It didn't really bother the fans so much, would you say, Juan? It didn't really bother me. I mean, I can believe that story.
Right.
Until he gets a second drug test, which was later, I think a month later, where he gets popped for pretty much blood doping and human growth hormone. Now, I don't know about you, but that's Juan, you're gonna take over for a second. I've got a nasty nosebleed.
Oh, that's not good. Yes, take care of that. You must have been hanging out with Jesse Ray too much to get those not random, but those easy nosebleeds that he always occurs. But no, yeah. So the PEDs has been quite interesting as of late in just the sport in general. And one of the things that I love about MMA in general is it's so highly regulated by the government, which another big government stepping in, taking over everything. But unlike other sports, they don't have to fess up or face suspensions by the state. Yes, each league has its own form of punishment with it, but through the state, each fighter has to get tested, and they get to get even random drug testing, like Gary just mentioned. But it's just something that's just going. It's getting so good now that it's eliminating all the possibilities of fighters getting tests or using any type of performance-enhancing drug. So where they have to be legit with their fighting. Cheo now is popped twice, which yes, he was. The second test that just came out, he was still under contract with the sport. He had not yet retired at that point in time, but it came out afterwards, after he made his retirement. And the fact that they made it public like they did, I wasn't a big fan of, because now he got released by the UFC, and now he also got released by Fox Sports. So now he's without a job. I would have rather that been kept secret, or not secret, but just not publicly announced. Of course, anybody could have looked it up through the paperwork through the state. It's just I didn't like how the media portrayed it as they did. Hopefully, he'll come out and give a statement to kind of let everybody know what's going on with him in general. But he does have the Metamorphs 4 coming up, his fight in the grappling tournament. So hopefully, that gives him some good outlight on the whole situation. But yeah, with that being said, we do have a guest on the line here. Let's bring him on. He's a amateur fighter by the name of Wesley Smith. Wesley, you there?
Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, no, hey, thanks for coming on. We love chatting with people. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm an amateur fighter. I'm from Kentucky, and I wanted to say I love the show. I keep up with y'all I keep up with all the updates on Facebook, especially on cards that I can't make it to and stuff like that. I'm a big fan of you guys and try to support the local MMA as much as I can. But my big thing is the amateur drug testing. That's the thing I'm starting to notice. Like, I feel like, especially in Kentucky, the local scene has developed so much in the last few years that I feel like the drug testing is still kind of staying behind. They're using these 5-panel drug tests for these amateurs, and I've heard Todd Neal say before that they're going to get these drug tests, for the steroids and stuff like that. But how is it? I don't know. It's just such an advantage to an amateur, I feel like, to be using PEDs as opposed to a professional, because these professionals, they're close to the same level. You got an amateur on PEDs going against somebody like me, a small 35er, that would, I feel like that changes the game so much and makes the playing field so off-kilter. And come to find out, I just found this out last week that Tennessee doesn't even drug test their amateurs.
Right.
And
yeah,
that blew my mind.
For those of you who aren't too familiar with the testing behind the scenes, Kentucky just enacted it a little over a year ago, to have drug testing. Like you said, it's only a 5-panel where they test hepatitis and AIDS, of course, to make sure you don't have any of that. But they don't test anything as far as performance-enhancing drugs goes, such as PEDs. Tennessee, they're amateurs. They aren't sanctioned by the state. They use sanctioning bodies, such as Indiana. Tennessee, you're right, does not check that, does not test the amateur fighters at all, so they can be on anything Same thing with Kentucky in a sense, because they don't test any form of performance-enhancing drugs. Neither does Ohio, to my knowledge. Indiana, same thing. Pennsylvania, amateurs, nothing. They don't do any of that type of testing because of the expense of it. For amateur fighters, they don't really see that to be necessary, which I kind of agree with to a point where you're an amateur. This is your time to basically fuck up, so to say. It's not your pro career yet. Now, with that being said, though, I wish there would be testing as amateur, but I kind of look at it as, if you're an amateur fighter, what's the point of being on any type of performance-enhancing drug? Because in the end, once you go pro, you start getting tested. All that went to waste, essentially, because now you're performing to what you were as amateur.
I feel like some people are probably just using it as a fast track, to get to the professional ranks, making money and stuff like that. But, personally myself, I don't know if this would even be an option. I would pay a higher, fee, at the beginning of the year when I pay my fighter fee. I would rather pay a higher fee and get, a bigger drug test, get tested for everything than, getting tested for things like, cocaine and marijuana and stuff like that. You got people getting suspended for marijuana, and you got people using performance-enhancing drugs that don't even get tested for it.
Right.
I guess that's my knock with it.
Then again, testing for the drugs is a lot easier and cheaper than it is for performance-enhancing drugs. And the turnaround time, with marijuana, coke, and what have you, you can usually get right there on the spot. Whereas performance-enhancing drugs, it does take a couple days to weeks, depending on how you go through. And with that being said, it would be nice if you could pay a little bit extra. But right now, in the state of MMA as it is, fighters aren't even willing to pay, the licensing fee. Of course, what state you are depends on how much it costs. Aren't even willing to pay that. So if we were to include that in the licensing fee, I would see less. I would predict there'd be less fights than there are now.
Oh yeah, but do you think then you'd have more committed fighters though?
See, I would like to think so, but I've never really heard that as an issue from any of the fighters that I've talked to over the years, of them worried about somebody being on PEDs or any other performance-enhancing drugs. So I don't really see there being more commitment out of it, no.
Okay. And I wanted to touch on one thing that y'all were talking about before about people backing out fights. And I think there needs to be stricter suspensions for that, personally. I know I fought on Penn Dennis Club, that private event for Hard Rock in February. Yeah, and a guy actually right after my fight, I just won mine, I came backstage, I went outside to call my girlfriend, and the guy that was fighting after the fight after mine, I think it was the third fight, he ran off.
Yep, I remember that.
And I'm hearing this guy's going to get reinstated.
Yeah, but, that was February. That was now going on 5 months ago. I mean, I agree. There should be some sort of suspension. We've talked about this numerous times. Unfortunately, the state can't really step in as far as amateurs go to really do nothing because they're not held to contracts. So that's the thing where the state can't step in to do anything. Now, it would be nice if the promoters kind of banded together and, had a blacklist, so to say, of certain fighters that did back out last minute or, whatever it may be, so where they don't put those fighters on the cards. However, with that being said, promoters are always looking for last-minute replacements, and they would go out to these people, even though they might have bailed on a different event, they might bring them onto their card just so they can fill a slot. So I don't ever see this being changed unless the state gets involved and does suspend them for 90 days, 6 months, or so on.
Yeah. Well, I know, like, with me, personally, if I commit myself to a fight, if I tell this promoter, hey, I'm fighting, because I fought Hard Rock's last event, not this past event, but the event before that. I signed on with that 2 months before the fight. I wouldn't care if I was sick or, whatever. If I passed the doctor physical, I'm fighting. That's how I feel about it. You put yourself in that commitment, you fight.
I agree.
Part of the show, you're part of the reason why.
Yeah, I wish more fighters were like you. Unfortunately, there's a lot of weekend brawlers, as we like to say, where they like to tell everybody they're an MMA fighter, but when it really comes down to it, whatever reason may be, they back out, and there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, they like to look good to the girls and guys on Facebook and stuff like that when they have their picture on that cool cover photo, but when it comes down to actually fight,
Exactly.
Yeah, I've seen that happen a lot, honestly, and I've only been involved with the sport since about, I don't know, halfway through last year. Now I only have 3 fights, so I've already seen people backing out, people, just little tedious shit that these promoters got to be going crazy over. Like I couldn't imagine being in these promoters' shoes having to deal with these people. I couldn't imagine doing it.
No, right on. It is something else. Hopefully things will change in the future, but as of right now, we're kind of unfortunately stuck with what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, is there anything else you'd like to add there, Wesley?
No, I think that's it. Thank you for having me on.
Well, hey, thanks for joining us, and continue listening, buddy.
I will. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
All right, I'm back. I had
What happened, man? Hey, for the people who are out there who are wondering, Gary was talking smack. I had to come down there real quick and give him a 1-2 in the middle nose.
I thought it was coming out of my mouth for a minute. But great. Thanks to Wesley Smith for tuning in and chiming in and really saving my ass there. But as we continue the topics, and you guys were touching on that, who better to talk about the state of kind of like matchmaking and how it sucks to lose fights is none other than Turf Wars matchmaker, owner, CEO, founder of Georgetown MMA, Mr. Adam Gomez. Adam, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So this
How's
has
that
been
nosebleed?
The nosebleed sucks.
Okay. Yeah.
Tasting your own blood. Guys like you get off on that tasting your own blood kind of shit.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, tasting your own blood, one of the fights on Saturday night at Turf Wars 19,
Brian McDowell.
Brian McDowell cut his opponent open. The referee stopped it. He went up to the camera and licked his glove, kind of like BJ Penn did. But he's an amateur fighter. It's like, really, dude? Really?
Yeah. That was gross.
Earlier this year, we saw it a lot in Ohio earlier this year where whole events were getting canceled. They would get down. In Ohio, I think they're mandatory, 7 fights as of Wednesday fight week, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're getting down to that. Just last week, Absolute Action cancels their show because they can't get more than 5 fights on the card. So it seems like some people have trouble with no-shows and backouts, and some people can adapt and move on and still put things together. Kyra had, I think, originally 17 fights on the card. She ended up with 14. Adam, I know you had a ton, and you guys ended up with 14 as well. But as a guy who books these fighters, and you talk to these fighters daily almost, I mean, you got to be on top of them with their blood work, top of them, making sure they're still going to fight, they're on weight. What's the biggest excuse you get for these guys, if they'll even respond to you?
Yeah, I mean, makes me more mad is when they search for us. Like, Robbie Browning, he wanted on our last card. I couldn't get him on. So this card, I told him I'd get him on. He was pumped up all the way up to Wednesday. He was asking about his hotel info and all this. And then comes Thursday, I didn't hear back from him. Friday, did not hear from him. I still
didn't show up to weigh-ins.
No. I haven't heard from him since then. Had people call his mom looking for him, and I don't know. I went out of the way.
This is a different circumstance. So. Yeah, he's under contract. He signed on the dotted line, so he's screwed. He's in breach of contract, which can be litigated. I mean, if you guys wanted to pursue it legally, he could be in trouble. Also, he's subject to jurisdiction on the KBWA. He was under contract as a pro fighter. Have you talked with Todd or Angela? Will he be getting a suspension?
No. But, by the time fight night comes, I knew he wasn't showing up, so I just worried about everybody else. So I told Angela, I haven't heard from him. He missed roll call, so I'm sure she'll probably put up a suspension or something. But, I just look at it like lessons learned. just stay away from him. I don't care what happens, if he gets suspended or not. I think, after that, other promoters will probably realize it and just not put him on.
That brings me to my next point, and Juan and I have talked about this. Nobody knows their fighters more than the matchmakers. Like I said, you're the ones in contact the most. You would think that people, they get burned once, they would be more cautious, but we see guys, promotions try to use the same fighter over and over. They keep getting screwed over and over by the same fighters. How much, I'm sure you and Hard Rock and kind of the inner circle of promoters talk and be like, hey, well, this guy no showed. Obviously, people pay attention to what the card originally is and how it shakes out. But how much of that is a policing job that you guys need to do when you start building these cards?
Yeah, it's a big time. What happens a lot, I know, sometimes some things do happen and, you do have to pull off a card or you have to, something comes up, I know that. I've never had that happen with any of my guys, but, I've seen it and I've heard it. And sometimes, it is a good excuse or something really did happen. And if it's somebody I know, and I kind of know their life a little bit, I might forgive them and let them fight again. But there's some that, that come down to it that they're, okay, he faked on Hard Rock show and he's trying to get on my show. Maybe not,
Let me throw a name
you
out.
Hear that.
Just
name.
For reference. I see a guy, he's popped up on 3 or 4 cards here lately, and I know that he's been on one of your cards before, Buddy Tesling. I see his name all the time, and he never fights.
Yeah, he's a good no-show. He's a big talker. I think he tasted what fighting really was about, and probably doesn't really want to do it, but wants to look cool. I don't know.
Yeah, but if that's going to be the case moving forward in the future, why even notate him down on the card? Damn well he was going to bail out anyways.
Yeah, that's what I was about to tell Anthony, who's putting on the card in Richmond, Trotter Legacy. I was going to let him know about him today too, actually, and I forgot to, but thanks for reminding me.
You're welcome.
And that's the thing.
On a card.
New promoters, new matchmakers. I am for certain that tonight I can put a 20-fight card together of people just telling me they want to fight, right? It's easy.
Yeah.
Getting them to the event and getting 5 of those 20 is the hard part. And that's where, you have to know what you're doing. You have to know who you're dealing with, who's reliable.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's the job of the KBWA to regulate amateurs for not showing up. One, if they're not already licensed, if for people that don't know, we license our fighters the day of the event. So we have a fighters meeting, they sign up for their license. If they've never fought here before and they back out, they definitely don't have any jurisdiction here because they don't have a license anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe those that are already licensed could be liable, but still, what if they're not going to show up? I guess they're not going to fight anyway.
I had one fight. I had one fight back out.
Go ahead.
Juan, let me talk, Juan.
No. Hey.
No, we had one fight stop before it even got started. I think his name was James Baxter. He said he wasn't feeling good and he threw up earlier and he had stomach ache and he just he didn't want to fight, couldn't fight. And I talked to this kid. He's 1-1. I talk to him almost every day. See how he's doing. Just always checking on him, and I really believed him. I was upset. Wow, that sucks. If it was my own personal guy, as a coach, and that was my guy, he better get out there and fight. Whatever. A stomach ache's a stomach ache. But I felt bad for the guy. He was almost in tears, telling me. He was sweating. He was apologizing. He didn't want me to be upset. And, I'm just thinking, the card's already stacked. That's fine. I'm not worried about not having one more fight. But, I feel more bad for his opponent. He's there ready. He's in line to get checked by the doctor. And he's ready to go, his first fight. And so that kind of stuff, makes me a little mad. Oh, man, you sure you can't push through that? stomachache, but I don't know how bad it was for him. I mean, he came all the way down here. He drove, a couple hours to the show. So I mean, I think his attention, instead of he could have just not came. He could have not showed up. So someone like that, I understand. Like, okay, he showed up, but maybe nerves got to him, maybe he ate something wrong. Who knows what happened? But at least he showed up. But so sometimes like that, I understand.
Now, as a fight promoter, are you more reluctant to bring a fighter on who's an independent fighter, who is not associated with the gym, versus somebody who does have an actual gym that he attends on a regular basis?
I try not to, unless I know the guys and I keep in touch. And I have my gym open on Saturdays. So, anybody could show up. So, like, I always offer that because I also, I don't want to match somebody that does not know what they're doing. I try to match as fair as possible. And sometimes things work out, you might have one bad matchup or two, but, I'll let the other guy know, like, look, man, you might have been training, 6 months, but this guy's training 2 years, but he's still new, his record's still new. So I actually tell people, and sometimes I make them turn down a fight. Like, they'll be like, I'll fight anyone. I don't care who it is, just put me in. I want to, I want this and that. And I'm just like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want no one to get hurt, and I don't want to have that reputation, of like, oh, they're just making a slaughterhouse in there, If someone gets knocked out, I want it to be like two guys that, are even. I don't want to mismatch, And I think, putting on a good show, having good promoters like, Kerry and Rod, like, they really care about fighting. They really care about fighters. They fought themselves. They train, so they know how to be treated, and they know when it's treated. I mean, they have to make money. It is a business. People are like, oh, you're just trying to make money. Well, yeah, duh, we are. This is my job, too, I do want to make money. But, we do care about the safety, and we do want a good show, if it means, spending a little extra money, and putting on a good show or putting on, we try to put on 5 pro fights, like, there's not too many shows around here that are doing that, and that's all costing us money. We could put 1 pro fight and the rest Emmys and, make more money, but these guys want to give all the local pros and a chance to, fight and stay fighting, instead of sitting around waiting for a fight. So, we I really like working with them because of those reasons. Like,
Okay, I'm going to have to cut you off here. We're getting a little sidetracked from the topic of nurture fighters. You're going on and on and on, glorifying turf wars. All right. Let's get back to the topic here, mister. We do have a limited time here.
That being said,
my point there was Billy Donovan's shows suck and they get canceled because he doesn't treat his fighters right. They start figuring it out when it gets close to fight time, and they start pulling out. Or they'll contact me and be like, hey, it's a week away from this fight, and he's trying to get me to fight somebody that has, 8 fights and a winning record, and I'm a losing record. But if I don't take that fight, they're saying I'm going to get suspended. Now, this is what they're saying. I don't know if it's true or not, and all I tell them is, hey, why don't you, contact commission. Don't go by what if you feel like something's wrong, go talk to commission. Send them an email. See if that's true. See if, if you pull out of a fight 2 weeks before, if you're going to get suspended. Or if you don't fight a guy that they want you to fight, are you going to get suspended? Because I hear that a lot. I get that a lot.
I couldn't agree more. I wish more fighters in that situation. I've heard that
knew
as
their
well.
Rights.
They knew their rights. They would at least, right, they do, but at least attempt to reach out to the commission to get to learn their rights and know what's right and what's wrong.
Oh yeah, because I've had guys call me and contact me like, yeah, man, I think I'm going to be suspended. My grandma died a week before my fight, and I couldn't make it, but they told me they were going to suspend me for a year. And I'm like, who told you you're going to get suspended? And, they just mentioned a promoter's name. And I'm always like, well, if you want on this card here, contact, commission and see, what's really going on. And, when it comes down to it, they don't even have a suspension. They just think that they have a suspension because a promoter told them they're suspended for not coming to a fight a week in advance. And some guys are just sitting around like, oh, yeah, I guess I'm suspended. And I'm like, I look them up, and I'm like, no, you're not suspended. You guys are good to go. And it's like, wow, man, like, I can't believe, they threaten you and say that. It's like, I don't know, if you look at our card, I mean, what I start with, changes, all the way up to, before weigh-ins.
Yep.
You know what?
That's everybody. They have to adapt and know and set it up to where they can fill spots if they have to. That's that's a necessity.
Yeah, you gotta have backups and stuff, and even like when Robbie Browning didn't answer me on Thursday, like the whole day, I was in panic mode, man, because I really like Charles, Stanford. He's, I'm a fan, and I wanted to see him fight. So I contacted 2 other pros, and, it was pretty small part. They weren't ready to take that fight right now, and they were like, oh, no, man, give me a couple months maybe, but, not on a 2-day notice. And I'm like, yeah, I wasn't upset, like, it's a pro fight.
Well, you're going to be suspended since I asked you and you said no.
Yeah, I mean, I should have said that and made him fight,
You're right.
But no.
It's I think it's a problem, but it's a fixable problem with everybody working together, and even just paying attention and using common sense. Just pay attention to Facebook and to fight cards when they're set, and then they don't happen. And then, of course, go to BluegrassMMA.com. We'll tell you who's not showing up, who's getting suspended. I had 2 fighters get suspended Saturday night for jumping on the cage.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy.
That's tough.
Our last topic, Adam, and I think this will hit near and dear to your heart as well. This weekend at the UFC, Kevin Gastelum says he fired Mike Dolce to focus more, to save money, and he thought he could get his weight cut down. He came in 2 pounds overweight, forfeited 20% of his purse. Mike Dolce responded on the MMA Hour and said fighters should fire their managers and invest in better coaches. How do you feel about that? As a guy who you look after your fighters, but you're also a coach, managing is, I feel personally, it's something that's going by the wayside. I feel like you can maybe have a rep to help get you sponsors. You may have a rep that helps get you fights, but as far as the manager per se, the 20% taking out of the purse, that's a dying breed.
Yeah, I think, it just depends. I don't think there's some managers that contacted me or, for their fighters and stuff, and I'm kind of against it.
Let's be honest. You don't talk to managers. You try not to talk to them.
No, I don't. I mean, there's some that I talk to because I know them or something, and they're managers, just kind of like helping their team or their friends out or something, but, sometimes I get these managers, and I'll just contact the fighter and be like, look, if you do one on this, like, I'll just deal with you, I'm not trying to be on hold and wait and, or a manager be like, oh, give me 2 weeks, I'll let you know. And, by that time I already matched whatever I needed matched, But I think there's some guys out there that are trying to be managers and that are just trying to jump on board. They see a fighter doing good and they kind of jump on board and want to take over, because they see money signs. And, that's not what it's about, I mean, they see these, managers, big management companies, with these UFC fighters and stuff. And, maybe when you're a UFC fighter and you're at that level, you might need a good manager, or, even then, like just a good coach or somebody that's going to guidance you and help you get your sponsors and whatever. But, I could see like someone's finder's fee or something, but.
I would think it to be the opposite. Once you reach the levels of the UFC, you do not need a manager, as Dolce kind of explained, because all you do at that point is you pick up the phone from Joe Silva or, Dana White and say, yes, I want to fight. Because if you say no, you're going to get put to the bottom of the list or, eventually kicked off. So you're going to say yes no matter what. So what the hell are you paying?
Yeah, like maybe not a manager to where they get they need you, to find them fights because you obviously already have a name. You're going to find fights. but somebody that can help you, a good friend, a good coach that's going to, you're not going to have to worry about, okay, I have a photo shoot this day. Okay, I'm going to get paid from this sponsor on this day, or, because fighters can't, don't want to have to worry about that. Like I try not to let, even my amateur fighters, I try to make sure they don't worry about anything, even if their gloves are getting bad or their shorts are getting worn out, I try my best to find them a sponsor or send them some clothes or something, they're all always broke and, even with Jesse Ray, right now, like, Triumph is taking care of them, they're just constantly sending them shorts and shirts and stuff like that. So, he doesn't have to spend his own money, on gear and all this. But
that's one thing I hate, and it might piss you off, but there's absolutely no reason whatsoever that amateur fighters need any type of sponsorship, whether it be giving a product away for free or taking a monetary from somebody. There's absolutely no reason. You're an amateur. Put your dues in like everybody else, and just wait till you're a pro. Because right now you're an amateur. You're essentially you're nothing yet in the world of big business.
A big business, but for some companies, they want their clothes out. Yeah. I think it's all right.
I know. If I was an apparel company or I was giving away some sort of product or service, I would never go after amateurs. Because you just never know if they're ever going to make that leap to pros. Perfect example, we got Michael Gay. He had 50-something amateur fights, and then his boy, Pinky, had 50-something amateur fights. You just never know who's going to take the sport seriously and make that transition over to pro, so why waste money on an amateur fighter? But that's just me from a business standpoint.
Warcry never sponsored amateurs, did they? Never gave them a shirt.
We did, and that was the downfall.
If they're looking at, like, business, I mean, it just depends, like, if I had a clothing company, I would sponsor amateurs, but, I know who's doing good, who's doing what, who's really in the gym training, who's going to promote my stuff, who's going to, I don't want someone wearing my stuff and, posting pictures of them doing cocaine and drinking all night on Facebook or something, like Juan does.
If I was, hey, don't be knocking on my after-hours activities. No. But if I was also a business owner, I would make sure that fighter is active on social media. If you're not active on social media, how are you supposed to get my brand out there to people, aside from your local community, which does me no good at the end of the day? I might get a couple sales off of it. Whereas social media, you have the potential to reach an unlimited amount of people. So if you don't have a Twitter, if you don't have a Facebook page, not a Facebook profile, if you don't have a Facebook page or Twitter account, why are you being sponsored? All fighters need to have that, period. I'm tired of people. I'm tired of fighters not having that.
I think there's days if I see, like, there's no Turf Wars event posted, like, that says invite your friends or come to that, like, I really want to do a welfare check on Adam Gomez to make sure he's alive.
Show alive.
I feel if the day goes by that he misses that opportunity, he's probably deathly ill or possibly in the hospital.
Yeah,
I will say, Adam,
try to keep
you are the best at that, and I will give you credit for that because no other promoter does it as much as you do, and I think that pays dividends come fight night when people show up to the events.
Yep.
Yeah.
People don't know what they don't know, right? So they got to find out somehow.
That's true. I mean, I also, like, people, I guess, will see me, on Facebook or something, and they'll come up and start talking to me, and they just really just know me from Facebook and all my posts and everything. I mean,
they don't know the real you.
I mean, I guess I'm reaching out, so it's good.
Absolutely. Well, these are all issues that I think that we will continue to deal with. I think even at the local, regional level, you're going to have managers. And I've got good friends that have been managers and are currently managers. Chuck Wells, great guy. I think he does good by his fighters. But is the institution of being a manager something that's sustainable for the future of mixed martial arts? I don't think so. Maybe, like we talked about the big business part of it, it will exist in some capacity, but I don't feel that there's a need for it. I'm a guy who has been that helping friend to find sponsors and get this and that done. Does that make me a manager? I've never said I'm a manager. I'm just a friend who's helping. And Juan, I know you've done the same as well.
Except for
managers want contracts and all this stuff, and think a nice gentleman's agreement. You get them what they need and what they want, and they'll take care of you.
Yeah.
I like
All right, Adam. We're about to start doing some interviews now. Do you want to go to Pittsburgh, maybe, watch Pinnacle?
Yeah, let's go.
It's July the 12th.
I don't feel that was very enthusiastic there, Adam.
Why?
He would go. Listen, Adam Gomez would go. I have no question that if we said, hey, let's go, he'd jump in the car and go.
I would. Pick me up. I'm there.
He's not driving. I don't think he's not going to drive us there.
No.
Go with us.
Yeah, you pick me up. I'm there.
Hey, sometime in my
Gomez,
life, before I pass, I want to see Gomez driving.
I've seen him drive. I've seen him pull out of the parking lot. I don't know that he drove very far.
I don't like driving.
All right.
I don't even own the car.
August 16th, Turf Wars number 20. If you want on the card, hit up Gomez. You can like the Turf Wars Facebook page. You can find him on Facebook at Georgetown MMA. Adam, enjoy the rest of the show.
All right. Thank you very much. You guys have a good night.
You too, buddy.
Bye.
Maybe not as in-depth as I originally imagined, but we got the conversation started about some of this.
You're absolutely right. It would have been nice if we. Honestly, it would have been nice if we had a panel get different people's opinions, not just our own.
We need to do that in our off-air section one night.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah.
Oh man, we missed the 45-minute mark, by the way.
Bluegrass MMA is happy to be sponsored by Audible.com, a leading provider of spoken digital audio entertainment and information. They have over 150,000 titles for you to choose from, and you can listen to them on any device, including whatever you're listening to us on right now. And if you sign up at audibletrial.com/pro MMA now, you get one free audio book and 1 month trial. There's a book that Joe Rogan's given out a lot, and I feel like we've copied a lot of his sponsors, but if it works for him, it's bound to work for us, right?
Right.
But it's called The War of Art. He pushes that a lot. They've got some great podcasts. Opie and Anthony are on there. There's a lot of stand-up comedy. Whatever you like to do. There's tons of mixed martial arts stuff out there as well. Just try it. It's free. You get a free book of your choice, and you get 30 days for free. Audibletrial.com /pro MMA now. Going there and signing up, you support us as we try to spread the good word of Audible.com. Right?
Exactly.
We've also got Onnit.com. That's ONNIT.com. How did the Alpha Brain? Did you finish the Alpha Brain? Did you keep on a good regimen of Alpha Brain? How did it work for you, Juan?
I needed to get better at a regimen. I didn't do it religiously, but for the few days that I did, I could definitely tell a difference. One of those
good
being,
or bad?
Oh, good. Well, good, I guess, if you like lucid dreams. It's like my dreams felt so much
real,
like more, than what they were previously and what they are now. It wasn't in a sense like I had always imagined that. One of the testimonials reviews I read on it was the gentleman said that in your dream state you're able to control the outcome of everything and you're able to make decisions. I'm kind of elaborating on that so people who may not know kind of understand what I'm talking about. So I was kind of hoping for that aspect of it. I didn't get it really so much as that, but it felt like I was there physically in my dream, whereas before, you would wake up and you would remember kind of what happened normally. But this one, I felt like I was there. So when I woke up, I was like, man, I had another day I just had, but I was dreaming with it. But I felt rested. I did not feel tired at all. So that was really a really cool effect of it. Another thing that I kind of noticed as well that it does kind of hint on is you do seem more focused. And let's be honest, Gary, you know me. I have
you need all the focus you can get.
I'm all over the place, and I lose attention so quick. But with that, your attention is I felt it was right there, I could actually focus on something and get work done. So the only downside to it, is to me was the cost of it. I didn't feel that the cost was necessarily worth it, because they want you to take up to 4 pills a day to get the maximum effect. The minimum is 1. But you want to do 1 for your dreams, 1 for your focus during the day. So 1 at night, 1 during the day. So that's 2 pills a day. And the bottle was $35, and that would last a little over 2 weeks. So basically $60 a month you got to drop if you want to do the maximum effect.
Well, let's cut you guys in on a deal. We talked about Alpha Brain. They've got New Mood. They've got the Total Primate Care, Shroom Tech Sport, Virus Tech, Digest Tech, the Strong Bone for joint health, the melatonin, just all kinds of good stuff. Also, if you're into the fitness equipment, a ton of that stuff right there. They got the zombie bells, they've got the upper body stamina battle ropes, they've got other kettlebells. They've got thanks, Juan. You just ruined my train of thought. Steel maces, the steel clubs, all that good stuff. If you go to onnit.com/BluegrassMMA, save yourself 10% off any and all supplement. It is the top of the hour. We're going to be talking about Pinnacle Fighting Championship. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Tune in to Louisville's #1 combat sports show, The Knockout Hour, every Sunday morning from 9 a.m. until 10, right here on 1450 WXVW. Host Kelly Patrick and Gary Thomas bring you the top stories from the world of boxing and mixed martial arts. The Knockout Hour is brought to you by BluegrassMMA.com and the Kentuckiana Agency of Transamerica, the home of tax-free retirement.
Intimidation Clothing has proven to be the biggest supporter of local MMA in the industry, sponsoring the top regional events across the globe. While other brands come and go, Intimidation is a brand that represents stability, with over 110 different styles of high-quality t-shirts, hats, hoodies, training gear, and more. Browse our premium quality merchandise at IntimidationClothing.com and use Radio 10 to save 10% off your order. When you think local MMA, think Intimidation Clothing. Nobody supports local MMA like Intimidation. Nobody.
You are listening to the ProMMANow.com radio network.
You're listening to the Ohio Valley's #1 source for MMA. This is Bluegrass MMA Live. Now, once again, your hosts, Juan Valley and Gary Thomas.
You could be anywhere in the world, but you're sticking around with us, and we love you for that. This is Bluegrass MMA Live, episode number 180. We got some of the hot topics out in hour number 1. Hour number 2, we're going to head to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Pinnacle Fighting Championships coming up with a big stat card in just a couple weeks. Adam Milstead's going to join us here in just a few. We're going to close things out with Mark Cherico. But first, we're going to talk to the man that's going to look to derail the pride of Bloomfield, a fighter I've got to see on numerous occasions. So tough. He's coming in with a solid 4-1 record, coming off a big win, brutal win over Matt Montalvo back in May at Coliseum Combat. He is our friend and yours, Mr. Luis Guerra. What's up, man?
Yo, what's good?
Man, I appreciate you taking the time out to join us. We are a few weeks away from fight camp. I got to say, you were not the original opponent set for Mark Cherico. You've got this fight not so much on short notice, but shorter than some.
Yeah.
What was it like when you
happy I got? Yeah, I'm happy I actually got the fight because they offered it to me, but I had just got done fighting. I was late response on it, and they had gave the fight to somebody else. But the guy dropped out. It was meant to be, I tell you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, congrats congratulations. I got to see your fight against Matt Montalvo. You bounced back from that loss in incredible fashion. You had to overcome a lot of adversity leading up to that. It's been kind of a rough year for you. How much did that win mean for you?
I was getting back. I came off of a loss. I don't like losing, and shit, I like to win. That's what I'm about.
I saw on your Facebook page that you said that you're not taking this fight to a decision. You feel it's only right that you finish him by knockout or submission. How confident are you that that's going to happen?
I'm very confident. There's no other way. I'm not taking it to a decision. I'm in his hometown. The odds are in his favor on that part, but, to me it don't matter, because you're going to have to fight me one-on-one when we're in there. So, yeah, I'm trying to finish him.
This will be the
I'm
first
going
time.
to finish him.
This will be the first time in your pro career that you fought outside of Kokomo. What's your thoughts on being the outsider? Being, I guess, the opponent's hometown guy.
A fight's a fight to me, regardless who it is. Everybody puts on their gloves the same way, and it don't matter. It don't matter who it is. I'm looking to win.
Absolutely. Walk me through, where are you training at right now? Who's helping you get ready for this fight?
I'm mostly training out at Indie Boxing and Grappling, and I'm also training out in Fishers, BJJ, and Boxing. Those are my main places. I go to U of I sometimes, do the little wrestling camp and all that. Also Indie Pride Wrestling Academy, they help me a lot. So I'm ready. I'm telling you, I'm ready. I hope he's ready.
This is obviously the toughest test to date. Who are some of the people that are helping you train? Who are some of your training partners that are the Mark Chericos in camp?
Oh, I've got a few. I've got a couple 155ers. Garrett Whitley, UFC vet, undefeated fighter. Andrew Holbrook, great training partner. Joe Lyle, superhero. Hey, that's TYB right there. I got great wrestler, 135, Justin King. I've got a lot of people. I got professional boxers on my side. I got everybody. I train with Chris Lytle. He's a big help to me with submissions and all that. So, I got a good team. I got a good training camp going on.
Who's going with you to the fight?
Coaches-wise, I got Pat McPherson. I got Joe Lyle. I've got Jason Kessler. Those are my three pro coaches. And, I'll probably take a couple fans and, family members and have a little buzz.
Absolutely. It's not a short trip from Indy, but it's not super far. But this is a title fight. This is a professional featherweight title fight. Does that add any pressure or any excitement?
Man, every fight's a title fight to me. Every fight. That's how I feel. That's how I fight them.
You look back
no
and,
pressure.
And you see
the question. No pressure.
Absolutely. That's the best way to be, right? I feel like fighters so many times put unneeded pressure on themselves, and it just kind of it hurts them mentally, and that translates to hurting them physically. Do you see that? You've had a ton of fights. You see guys who psych themselves up too much, or worry too much, or get too nervous.
Yeah, it happens to the best of them. And it can get to you if you let it get to you. You just got to be the smarter fighter.
When you look at Mark Cherico, when this fight was offered and you knew it was Mark Cherico, what's your impression of him? Have you got to see any of his fights? Have you been studying his style, or are you kind of letting your coaches worry about the training and the game plan and all that?
I'm ready for him. and I predict I'm going to beat him. I'm going to finish him, whether it be on the ground or whether it be standing up, and that's my prediction. I've watched video, I've prepared for him, and, it's chess, not checkers.
Absolutely. So, as a guy who this is a big, high-profile fight, you're a young cat, 24 years old?
Yes, sir.
When you're not training, you're not fighting, what keeps you busy? What moves and motivates you outside of the gym?
You mean I'm really training always? But other than that, I got my kids, my wife. We hang out sometimes, but most of the time I'm training, and she understands that. I thank her for that.
God, you're lucky, man. Not everybody gets that significant other who's as willing to share the time with you.
Yeah, definitely. It's a task, We have our issues, but hey, it's all good in the end. It's all good.
Now, this going to be your sixth fight. Have you perfected your weight cut? You always look pretty ripped. Do you feel like 45 is the best spot for you?
Yeah, 45 is my weight class. My weight class, if you get what I'm saying.
It's not featherweight.
So,
it's Guerra, right? It's not featherweight. It's Guerra weight.
Yeah, you're damn right.
Not looking past this fight with Cherico, but I know you're a guy that likes to stay busy. You're always improving. How do you see the second half of 2014 going after this fight with Mark?
I see it going good. I haven't really looked in too many other fights. I kind of just focus on one fight at a time, win that fight, and then, move on to the next.
Is there anybody out there that locally or, anybody that that just that dream fight of yours, whether it be in the UFC or whatever, is there that one guy that you're just itching to fight?
You said UFC?
UFC, locally, anywhere.
No, UFC, shit. The only person I really care about fighting is Jose Aldo. I want the title, If anything, shit, That's why I do it. I do it for the UFC featherweight title.
I like it, man. Well, listen, I appreciate
that is my goal. That is where I'm going to be. That is where I'm getting to. I'm on my way.
Absolutely. Last year you had 4 fights. You've already had 1 fight this year. Big things for you in the future, man. I appreciate you taking the time out to do this interview. We're excited about the event. We're excited about the main event. Before I let you go, though, I want to give you a chance to give any shout-outs, any thank yous, anything you want to throw out there to the listeners.
Yeah, I want to thank all my training partners, my coaches who take the time, for me, my sponsors, Rev Gear, Banners in a Hurry, Levita Inc., JP Bell Bonding, everybody. It's just, they make this dream happen for me. And I'm lost for words right now. But yeah, man, I appreciate them a whole lot. All my family, the fight fans. If they get a chance, go ahead, like my fan page, check me out on Instagram, at iBang for fun, because that's what I do. I don't fight for free, but I do bang for fun.
I love it. Well, man, this is going to be a great fight. We're excited for it. Mark Cherico's listening to the interview, and he wants to tell you hi. Do you have any words for Mark?
I ain't got nothing to say to him. I'll be ready to fight.
Fair enough, man.
I don't do a lot of talking, man. I just fight. I let my skills speak for me.
Well, there you go. Well, man, have a safe trip. Enjoy the rest of your training camp, and we'll see you in Pittsburgh.
Yep, see you soon, man.
There you guys go. 4-1. Featherweight contender for Pinnacle Fighting Championships, Luis Guerra. taking on Mark Cherico. We're going to hear from Cherico, allegedly, in a little bit. So I think this is a big fight. One, let's talk about how this fight even came to existence, which I found it, I don't know what the right words. I found it refreshing to see the promotion address it publicly about Brian Goldsby pulling out of the fight.
Right. It was made news a week and a half ago, something like that, that apparently Goldsby, now this is from the officials with Pinnacles, their side of the story. I've not heard Goldsby, but I don't feel it to be any other way than the way they're saying. But Goldsby apparently had another event planned that day, and apparently slipped his mind. He's forgotten about it, so he agreed to the matchup with Mark Cherico. A few weeks later, he remembered, oh crap, I got something I got to do that day. I can't fight. And then he reached out to the promoter, said, hey, look, I'm sorry, I can't fight, blah, blah, blah. And then this is where Luis kind of stepped up to the plate, took that fight on relatively short notice, a few weeks out. So at least he does have some time to get back in there to training. And like you said, he's always trained to begin with, so I'm sure it wasn't that big of an ordeal for him to start focusing on a fight.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like, I don't know. It's just one of those things. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of times promotions, it's like hush hush. You know, he's out, new opponent's in, but they kind of took the time to explain things and maybe take that opportunity to dog a little bit on him. But Goldsby's had a ton of fights. He's, I think he won at Titan, or he lost at Titan.
He lost at Titan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that the promotion did kind of step up to the plate and be honest with the fans. I appreciate that more as a fan, knowing that the fight fell through for whatever reason it may be, than you kind of just like brushing it under the rug, so to say, not telling us, and then come fight night, I find out, oh, so-and-so isn't fighting now. I'd rather you just be honest up front with it. And thankfully, the Goldsby did alert the officials a few weeks out instead of waiting till the last minute like he could have. He could have been a dick in that sense and not told them and then say, week out, like, oh, crap, I can't make it. So, I mean, at least he did give him a few weeks. I'm sure as soon as he found out that he had something else scheduled for that day, he told him instead of waiting till the last possible minute.
Yeah. I guess you're right. Gives you a little time.
Right.
I don't know, man. It's, I think that would have been a good fight for Cherico. I think Luis is a good fight for him as well. But let's be completely honest. Cherico's heavily favored in this fight.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, of course he's fighting in his hometown. Cherico is. I mean, there's just something about Fight Club Pittsburgh, the gym he trains out of, that's just like it seems. And then I know you hate when I say this.
They're on the next level.
Like it's on another level. I mean, it really does. I mean, look, it produced stars like Mark Cherico, for example, Kama Worthy, and Cody Garbert, who's now training out at Team Alpha Male. I mean, it produces talented fighters, and they have an awesome slew of up-and-coming amateurs as well. So he's getting really good training out there. And, of course, he's beaten some tough opponents to date. So I don't see this being and no offense to Luis, I don't see this being as a caliber as some of his last opponents as far as experience goes.
Let's be honest, though. We know Mark's trying to get to the UFC, right? We know that's the thing. It doesn't fucking matter who he's fighting.
You're right, it doesn't.
We just saw Flyboy Deshaun Johnson, who fought, I don't know if any of you were up with me early Saturday morning. I think his fight was about 3:30 a.m. He was undefeated, but he never fought anybody with a winning record. He makes the UFC. And you know what? He got his ass beat.
He did.
So
he did.
But it doesn't mean you can't get there without taking smart, padded tomato can fights. But Mark Cherico, let's be honest, he's not done that.
He's not. But you can also look like this too. Yes, if you fight a bunch of cans like that guy did,
Fly boy.
Your payday might not be as great going into your first couple of fights within the UFC. So, I mean, if you're going somebody like Cherico, who's fought Brady Huffamore, Donnie Walker, Billy Vaughn, you're really tough guys.
Chris Dunn.
You go in there. Chris Dunn is another one. You go in there to Joe Silva, like, hey, look, I fought these hardcore fighters. I want a bigger payday. I'm sure he can get that.
I still think he's making 8-8. I don't see. I don't think that's a bargaining chip at all. I think unless you're coming from somewhere else big, I think entry level, which, Cherico will be an entry level fighter, he's going to get paid 8-8. And plus whatever behind the scenes money they talk about giving off.
Hey, it depends on how good your manager is too.
Oh.
The person I just said you don't need once you get to the UFC?
You probably need an attorney or something to help you look over that contract.
Yeah. Hey, at least it's not a Bellator contract, I'm just saying.
Ooh, so right. Good one there. All right, our next guest. I'm excited for this one. Heavyweight.
You should be. But you're going to have to hold off on a few minutes.
Wow, you said 20
before we get. Hey, if you stay on your messenger, you'll see that I said 10:30 now.
Oh, well, never mind. If you guys want to join the conversation, 347-884-9986. As always, we are sponsored by Banktown Fight. Not to change subjects altogether, but are you a fan of MiddleEasy.com?
I visit their website, not often, but yes, I am a fan. I did have last time I was there. I've noticed they're starting to get to more sports and not so much MMA. At least that was my take on it.
Their founder on mixedmartialarts.com left this little note. Just like a mother turtle preparing her nest for babies when she has to depart, I have ensured Middle Easy has a strong structure and a solid team for when I depart on my own baby, which will be effective today. I've sold Middle Easy, and this is the last article I'll ever write for the site. Wow.
Damn, son. Did it say who he sold to?
It just says he sold it to a great businessman from Southern California named Jason Wurz.
Jason Wurz. Let's do a quick Google search on him. Let's see what we can find out.
Like Middle Easy was one of the few independent sites, but if you got there he is on LinkedIn. He Middle Easy, Pro MMA now is overtaking Middle Easy in just about all the rankings.
That is
So
if
anybody's listening, I feel like I have the authority to say Pro MMA now is for sale for the right price.
I got $10 on it. What's that?
We'll throw BluegrassMMA.com in there with it for the right price.
I got $11 on it then.
You still owe me $100.
Which you will never see if you keep that attitude up. And if you mention it one more time, that bloody nose is coming back out. You got it?
I'm going to send you an invoice on PayPal.
All right, I'm going to deny it. Deny.
I'm going to send a collection agency after you.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
We can settle right now for 2 popsicles and a Red Bull.
2 popsicles? Hey, I figured you went Polar Pop, to be honest with you.
I mean, I get those all the time. I just want to, popsicles.
Right.
My throat's starting to hurt now that I've had this gushing nosebleed, and I think I swallowed some blood. I'm bad.
Well, hey, while we have some free time, I want to make an announcement. Breaking news. I have confirmed, I mentioned it to you earlier, I have confirmed now with at least one party, and to me, that's damn good enough. I don't have to contact those fighters, the managers, the commissioner, the promoter, the baby mama, the baby daddy, if there is indeed one for whatever reason. I confirmed with one source, and that's all I need. Jeremy the Pony Boy Pender, will be returning to action for the third time in 2 months on July 19th.
Against?
For Gladiators the Cage. Against none other than Jordan Espinoza.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that fight.
It's going to be
Listen,
a great fight.
So I get on their site, and I get on Hard Rock Roxino's site. I want to see what the rooms cost, maybe book one in our room. There's no fucking hotel attached to that thing.
Oh, hey, by the way, I meant to tell you, there aren't with the Ohio casinos.
Why?
Because part of the stipulation was when they made it into a law that they couldn't have a hotel with it, that they had to use hotels associated with downtown to help generate business with the hotels and keep everything on the up and up, so to say. But most of them, most of them have deals with local hotels. I don't know if that helps at all.
They do. There's hotel partners with them. Let me ask you this: Can we see titties yet in Cincinnati?
Negative. Well, you can if you go to the right corner.
If we go to Juan's mama's house, see them titties.
You might want to get your eye checked first.
Are
you done?
Where's Aaron Garrett at?
He's been MIA all day.
I don't know. I feel like since we didn't post last week's archives, we're going to have to make a good one this week.
Yeah, you kind of slacked on that one when I asked you for the archives. You kind of went MIA on me.
I mean, I've got it right here. I can upload it to Block Talk and we can play it tonight.
I don't care. Hey, check this out. So, it's really confusing. So, I've recently become, I'm getting off topic here, off MMA topic. So, if you have to go to the bathroom, do so now.
Yeah, 5 minutes, Adam Milstead. Go ahead.
So, I've recently acquired a MacBook. I was a long-time proponent of anything Apple. Hated them.
You ridiculed me for my MacBook Pro.
I did. And you know why? You know why most of the people in the world have hate? It's because A, they don't understand something, or B, they're jealous. I was more in the former. I didn't know how to use a Mac. I tried once a long time ago, didn't understand it, gave up on it, said, F that, I'm sick of my PCs. Because I knew it, I'm sure a lot of people are like that. So I got this MacBook, man. Somebody taught me the basics of it. I'm still kind of learning with it. I wish there were more keyboard shortcuts that there are with PCs. That's one thing I hate a lot with it. Another thing I hate is there's no home and end key. So I can't, jump back and forth between the one. Anyways, so I got the MacBook, and I'm so used to it now. So, when you scroll, I'm sure you can invert it. If you scroll, up, it goes down. If you scroll down, it goes up. Well, I don't use my PC as much anymore. So when I'm using it, I'm always trying to do that with the PC. And I'm using the mouse. I'm like, fuck, shit ain't working. So I occasionally slam the mouse, work. And then I realize, crap, I'm going the wrong way. And then it works. First world problems.
Cool story, bro.
Hey. Can I tell it again?
With some enthusiasm this time.
Okay. You talk for a second. I'm going to get our next guest.
I apologize to our listeners, our loyal listeners. We don't have a fight this week, and so Juan's brain's kind of everywhere. But
it's like this every week.
You said, this is the most I've let you talk in a year.
And look, I bet our listens go up.
And you said fuck within the first 10 minutes, and we're already off kilter.
Oh, we are. So,
we're going to get it back on track with Adam Milstead, heavyweight, who's taking on Nick Smiley. Pinnacle FC 8 goes down July the 12th. I'm excited for this. I love good MMA. I'm excited for good MMA, good people putting on good MMA. And Pinnacle does that. Dave Click, Matt Layshock, the whole crew there. They do a great job. Gladiators there with the cage. And, it's so weird. They're both running shows in the same city, and they're, friendly. I love it. People should take notice and take note of how you can be successful and not be player haters. You know what I'm saying? So you just kind of have to watch how. I always feel like if you watch successful people, it can to helping you become successful. Speaking of success, our next guest is with us. An amazing heavyweight, 4-1. You know, a guy that I noticed last year just tearing stuff up. He fought in the very first Pittsburgh Challenge Series. He's coming back for the 8th, taking on a very tough Nick Smiley, but he's with us right now. Adam, what's up, man?
Hey, how's it going?
Man, I appreciate you taking the time out. Are you at work? Are you like in a closet hiding at your job?
I am literally at work right now. I'm driving in a truck. So, yeah, sorry if I gotta, kind of cut the interview short and, but I'm just, I'm actually outside. I'm driving around, so I got a little bit of time.
Well, man, I appreciate you doing this so much. It means a lot to us and a lot to the fans out there. Gotta say, big fight coming up, but it's been over a year. Where have you been?
Well, I've been recovering from injuries, been dealing with situations as far as finances and trying to get my life back on track, and I've gotten to a point now where I'm starting to get situated, but you're never ever going to be perfect, and and finally I came across that conclusion, and it was a few fights back. I was at a Pinnacle fight and saw my guys get in there and win, and it just made me think, I miss that feeling. I want to get back in there, and so I ended up asking Dave Click if I can get a fight, and he said, yeah.
So wait, let me go back. You're a 4-1 pro. You're not making enough money just to be fighting for a living? What? The dreams are broken out there, man. Say it ain't so.
Well, I'm going to tell it like it is. We don't do this sport for money, that's for sure. A lot of people like to think that, that we make a lot of money and, stuff like that, but you got to think about it. We're actually a fairly new sport. We haven't been established that long. Like you get boxing. Boxing is, it's up there. They got a lot of money in it, and but you look at it like MMA is, it's just it's a new sport, and people are just starting to recognize it. Like they had a statistic out for 2013 of the top 100 paid athletes. Not one was an MMA fighter on there. But the funny thing is, you got Mayweather was number 1 on there.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, and so that's the crazy thing, and like I said before, we don't do it for the money. We do it for the sport. We do it for the glory.
You talked about kind of finding yourself and going through some things. What's that struggle been like for you leading up to this? Does it feel like a rebirth of sorts, or like what the grind is real? People talk about it. It's a real thing.
It absolutely is, and I'm the first one to tell you that this sport isn't for everybody. I mean, basically we have no social lives. Most of our time is spent working, and the rest of the time is spent training. It's like you go to work and you come home, go train, go to sleep, get back up and do it all over again. And a lot of times, you get in a situation where you really want to build yourself up. You want to get to the next level, and a lot of things get sacrificed there, such as your job. Like for me, I decided to take some time off, get away from the sport a little bit to kind of remotivate myself. But while I was going through there, I worked at Fight Club. I did some small little jobs here and there just so I can train more and more, and make sure that I'm able to get to that next level. But the problem is now you got problems dealing with the fact that hey, you gotta make rent, you gotta make bills, you gotta be able to pay all these things, and training takes away from the opportunity to make the money to pay the bills. So it's like it's a double-edged sword, and that's the bad thing about it. But if you go through it, thinking later on, you won't have any regrets in life knowing that you did absolutely everything possible to get to that next level, and that's pretty much what I've been doing.
MMA is such a selfish sport. What are some of the sacrifices you've had to make? I mean, do you have a wife, a family, or have you kind of had to forgo some of that normal 26-year-old guys kind of normalcy of 9 to 5, coming home doing all that, but MMA doesn't really allow you to be in that position all the time.
No, it doesn't. And fortunately, I do have a wonderful fiance that I just proposed to in January, and and that's been actually probably the biggest step I've made as far as like a personal life. Other than that, I mean, I'm pretty much married to the sport, and married to the gym and getting better, and to the idea that one day I might get a shot at the big show and get in there. And it's tough, man. It really is. And like I look at all my buddies, who go to work, come home, relax, sit down by the TV. Like I'd love to do that. I would love to come home and just relax and just do what I need to do to just be me. A lot of people, the Friday nights, let's go out and party. Oh no, I'm actually sparring tonight. That's my Friday night. Saturday's recovering. Sunday, I don't do anything because I'm so sore. But it is what it is. And you look at it, there's more of a reward in doing mixed martial arts and going through all the sacrifices that you have to go through, because I'm a firm believer that going through these hardships and these times is just going to make you a stronger person inside and out.
You turned professional in 2011 and you lost your first fight. How did you were coming off a huge run as an amateur? You take this fight and you lose. What did that change your outlook on the sport? Did it motivate you? Did it disappoint you? Walk me through the emotions there, because it was almost another year before you took your next fight.
Oh, that pretty much motivated me to get better. I made a lot of serious changes. I changed gyms. I got a different job because the job was affecting my sleep schedule. Unfortunately, this one just now decided to switch me to night turn. But before I fought there, I was doing 10 p.m. to 10 a.m. For like 4 or 5 days a week, and it really does affect you a lot. Especially if you're not used to that. But I'm not here to make excuses. I was the best excuse that I can come up with is it took me a really long time to go pro, and I had about probably 8 or 9 fights fall through. Fights that I've actually trained for, got signed the contract for, and they all fall through. And you're just thinking the whole time you're amateur, and now you get a chance to use all these new weapons. You get to kick people in the face, you get the elbow, you get to knee people in the face. You get all these new weapons, and I'm thinking like that, and this is how immature I was at that time. And I'm thinking, man, the whole time my fights have been falling through, I've been thinking, man, I want to do a Anthony Pettis, jump off the cage and kick somebody in the face. I want to do a flying knee into a spinning elbow. I want to do something crazy. It's just people are gonna notice that and propel me into to the next level. It's gonna be great, And I went in that fight thinking that. Went up against Dane Bonington, which is a bad dude. He's an awesome fighter. So it was an honor to fight him, and I ended up going in there with that mindset. Ended up getting taken down. We kind of squared up against the cage. People started booing. I got the crowd behind me, and I was just like, I'm gonna go for it. And I do this jumping, spinning back kick, and it was the dumbest thing in the world. Landed in my wrong stance, got caught on the chin, and that was it, And I look at that fight a lot, and that fight taught me a lot about mixed martial arts, but most importantly, it taught me how to mature in the sport, and it's been a long road since then. I've made a lot of changes. I've gotten a strength conditioning coach. I've gotten a big team behind me, Fight Club Pittsburgh, and I got a lot of people still pushing me up, and it was pretty cool too, because when you lose, a lot of people don't realize this, is that you learn a lot more from a loss than you do from a win. and also you learn who's still by your side when the cage door reopens. You know, I had a lot of great people who, when I was down, and that helped motivate me a little bit more to get back in there. So I said, I'm still young. I'm going to take a good year off. I'm going to try to mature in the sport and get in there and, you know, and do what I can. And this is where I'm at now.
4 wins later, you're looking at a 6-3 Nick Smiley, who is coming off a loss, but before that had really been on a tear. He was the Conflict MMA heavyweight champ. What do you know about Nick, and what's your first impression of this fight, you know, just on paper?
Well, it's funny. You know, I talked to Dave Click when I went to that fight, and I said, Dave, man, I think my little hiatus from MMA is pretty dumb. He says, I agree. I said, I want to fight. He says, okay. 2 days later, he gives me a call. I got you a fight. I was like, fantastic. Who is it? His name is Nick Smiley from Georgia. I was like, I don't care. I'll fight him. You know, I go and I look him up. You know, he's 6'5", 265 pounds, of pure, mean Southern muscle. I mean, this guy is just, you know, he's a big boy. He's the biggest person I've ever fought. At the same time, he's got the ability to knock people out. And I called Dave Quick up. I was like, Dave, you know, first fight back in a year and a half, you get me this monster, you know. But, you know, I said I don't care, because I'm at a position in my life now where I realize that I'm not going to have the opportunity to fight anymore, you know. And I think this time is a time that where I step up and, you know, I choose a real big challenge, and Nick Smiley is that challenge. Nick, you know, he seems like a great guy. You know, I've been pretty much stalking him lately. But, you know, he seems like a good guy. You know, he's got a good head on his shoulders, and, you know, and it's actually pretty crazy. He's been through a lot of stuff in his life that made me think about a lot of stuff that I've gone through that, you know, was like, man, that's petty stuff compared to what he's been through. You know, so it's an honor to fight him. It's an honor to fight somebody his skill level, his record, and the team that backs him up. He's got a good manager, you know, and I think this is a fight that I needed to take to find out what I got, you know, and that's pretty much it, man. And just all of it in a nutshell, it's just an honor to fight Nick.
Well, man, we think this definitely could be fight of the night on July 12th. Unfortunately, we got to talk to Mark Cherico next. Will you give us something people may not know about Mark Cherico?
You don't even know anything about Mark Cherico. Mark Cherico is a 145-pounder, okay? Heavyweights is where it's at. Heavyweights rule. Right? You know, nobody wants to see a bunch of 145-pounders, you know, slug it out, you know. They want to see us big guys get in there and, you know, throw these big bombs. You know, people like seeing heavyweights. No, but, you know, I'll respect to Mark. Mark is a fantastic dude, and he's a good friend. You know, he's you know, we've been teammates now for a really long time, and you know, I just remember when we started training at the same gym. You know, sometimes we actually train together. You know, considering the fact that, you know, we work there and everything like that, and you know, it's Mark. You're looking at a guy who's going to be in the UFC, regardless of what happens. He's going to be in the UFC, because if I know anybody, Mark Cherico has the best work ethic that I've ever seen in my life. I remember when I came back from my little hiatus, and I looked at Mark, and Mark had changed. Mark is just kind of really exploded up into the next level, and he got where I want to be, you know. And I looked at that, and that kind of inspired me to pick up my training, to pick up, you know, what I was doing, and really push forward to the next level. So, you know, I'm going to tell all the fans out there right now, there's a reason Mark Cherico is the main event, you know, and there's a reason why Mark Cherico is undefeated. The guy is a great guy, and he's a fantastic fighter, and, you know, look for it to be a fun fight, but I'm going to say right now, I don't see many people competing with him.
Adam, I appreciate you taking time out from work and doing this. Hold on a second. Mark Cherico says to tell the big slow to hurry it up. My little one wants me to tell her a bedtime story. Does he call you the big slow?
Oh. No, he just doesn't. He's just jealous because I get to eat what I want. You got to sit there and eat egg whites all day long. I'm going to sit there and eat my ice cream and cannolis and whatever else that he wants to eat. I'm just going to, for the whole week, the week of the fight, I'm posting nothing but food pics on his Facebook wall. I'm going to come in there eating double cheeseburgers right in front of him. So.
Well, Adam, thank you so much for taking the time out from work. I truly appreciate it, man. I think this fight's going to be awesome. Before I let you go, I want to give you a chance to give any shout-outs or any thank yous to anybody that's helped you along the way or any sponsors, really anything, man. The floor is all yours.
Awesome, man. Well, first of all, I got to thank Fight Club Pittsburgh for always being there and always having an open door for me. It's a great gym, great facility. I got to thank Intimidation Clothing. They've been there from the start. They've been with me through thick and thin. I got to thank Post Products, Pain Relief Products. Steve. I also got to thank. Hold on, man. I'm having a blank here. I got to thank. Actually, after party after the Pinnacle is going to be at On Deck Bar and Grill. Just found that out today. Also got to thank Body Mechanics out of Monroeville, Pittsburgh. They've been helping get my back realigned and massage and all that good stuff. And then, of course, I got to thank the reason why we do this is the fans, everybody out there who supports local MMA, and especially Bluegrass MMA. Thank you guys for having me on. And, look forward to put on a show for you guys. Make sure you guys come out after the fight, win or lose. Come talk to me because I enjoy talking to you guys.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for the time. Unfortunately, you have to go back to work, but
I do.
I get to talk to Mark Cherico, who's waiting on me now.
Well, good luck with that.
Guys, you can follow him on Twitter at Adam Milstead. Adam, take care, my man. We can't wait to see your fight.
All right, man. You too.
There you guys go. Adam Milstead, the heavyweight, who says he's really going to be the star of the show, not our next guest, who's in the main event. We talked to Luis Guerra earlier, his opponent, and now he's back on the show a couple weeks out from his fight. Mark Cherico, what's up, man?
Hey, man, how you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you for taking the time out. I know you got a kid who wants a bedtime story. Adam, he wasn't in a big hurry to get off the phone.
Oh, man, Adam can talk. They brought us in the cage at the last Pinnacle right before the main event, and he went off on like a 10, 15-minute spiel.
So we've got a pro featherweight title fight that, in true Mark Cherico fashion, the opponent has changed at least once that I know of, probably before that, that we didn't know of. Did anything change when it went from Brian Goldsby, who had quite a bit more experience than your opponent now, Luis Guerra?
No, nothing ever changes, man. I train to better myself. I never really game plan or anything like that. The game plan is always just to make the guy fight my fight. So, I'm just always trying to get better at my strengths and shore up some weaknesses. And so that way, but when I get into the fight, I'm sharp at everything, no game plan. And I'm so used to – literally, I have never in my pro career had a fight that my original opponent ended up being the same opponent except for the Donnie Walker fight. And even that fight at one point fell through.
That's crazy, man. I don't even I guess at least you got the fight, so that's a good thing. But is that frustrating or is that just normal now?
It's funny. Like every time Dave Cook calls me, I my heart drops, and I'm like, he's gonna tell me my fight fell through. The day he called me to tell me Goldsby was out, never crossed my mind. He called me. I called him right back, and I'm sitting there eating breakfast, and he said, "Are you sitting down?" I'm like, "Motherfucker." And he's like, "Yeah, Goldsby's out." And then I'm just like, I'm starting to panic. I sell a lot of tickets. I had a lot of sponsors, and this is a big fight for me, and in more ways than even just that. And for that to happen, I'm like, shit. And he goes, "Well, I have a backup that looked like he's gonna take it." And he said Luis, and then I think the next day they confirmed for sure, but I think he was already posting on his Instagram or something that he was taking the fight. So I just just kept training like I had to fight.
I've got to see Guerra fight several times. It's interesting. Tonight he said that he's not going to let it go to the judges, that he's going to finish you. When you hear guys say that, does that do anything? I mean, I know it's just talk, but he's confident that he's going to be able to finish Mark Cherico.
It's kind of funny he's not going to let it go to the judges. I only let it go to the judges one time. I don't know. Maybe he didn't check my record or anything like that. I don't know, man. If he needs to talk all that nonsense to get in the cage with me, that's fine. I don't care. As long as he signs the contract and shows up, I don't care what they say. At the end of the day, you got to fight. You know what I mean? I can sit here and say I'm going to knock him out with a 1-inch punch, but at the end of the day, we still have to fight. So no matter what I say, it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is when we touch gloves and go out there and throw.
This being, I feel like your show, and no disrespect to the other main eventers, but you've been like the mainstay for main events for Pinnacle Fighting Championship, and it's something that I'm sure you've grown used to. But is there anything that adds to the ticket selling, to the sponsors that you mentioned, of the pressure of knowing that the next call may not be from Dave Click, it may be from Joe Silver, Sean Shelby, or something like that? Does that wear on you after a while, or is it something that you just kind of put off to the side for now?
I don't worry about anything, honestly. I always tell everybody I could lose every single fight from here on out. At the end of the day, when I walk out of the cage, I got a beautiful wife and daughter. That's all I need in my life. So if I never fight again, I know I have that, so I got a pretty good life. So that's what I always think about, and that kind of takes the pressure away.
Were you able to get to American Top Team for this camp, or did you have to stay close?
No, I stayed close to home this camp. We were going to go down, and it's just time-wise. I had Justin Wilcox in camp. We had a couple other guys in camp. And plus, I really wanted to work with Bob Meese. I was really trying to focus on working with him because I think he's helped me a lot prior to this camp. And so I just wanted to stay close to home and really get to work with him. And we had Mark Angle come in. He, I think, four-time or three-time All-American wrestler. So, Kurt Angle, that's his nephew. Kurt Angle was a gold medalist in the Olympics. So, they know how to wrestle. So I'm getting, top-of-the-line training with guys like that. Bob Meese, who's Cody Garbrandt's uncle.
Your gym is like, and I want to say, first of all, it's no disrespect to anybody else because I don't really know the scene, but for me, who, I'm 6 hours away, I know Fight Club Pittsburgh. I know the fighters. I know the caliber that you guys bring. Like, is that the spot? I mean, is that where everybody in Pittsburgh kind of would like to go or ends up going when they have a big fight?
I mean, there's a couple other gyms that have a couple pro fighters, but even those guys, they come up, and we all work together now. Like, we have Monday night sparring sessions where they come in, and then we got guys that come up from the Mat Factory, like Don Mazzata and Francis Healy and Chris Dempsey, and Team Impact guys like Joey Holt and Josh Stansbury come up. So, I mean, we get a good mixed crowd. We had some guys from Evolve, like Jarrell Hodge and Devontae Smith, and a couple other guys come in to cross-train. So, we get a lot of guys that come up to get working with us, and we invite those guys up because we want to get working with them, too. Trying to bring the best of the best in one spot for some good training at least once or twice a week. And then in-house, we have a bunch of studs ourselves. So we get, you never know what you're going to be that day. Some days you're the hammer, some days you're the nail. But that's how it's got to be. You don't want to be at a gym where you're always the hammer.
On a side note, we love Pinnacle Fighting Championship. We love how the cards are set up. Will there ever be a day when Common Worthy is the main event and you're the co-main event?
Oh, man, I don't know.
He feels like he should be the main event all the time.
Hey, you know what, though? I told you, you got to sell more tickets. Tickets are the big thing, man.
He doesn't want to do that.
Sell a lot of tickets. That's the wrong way to go about it. You're not only you're screwing yourself out of money, I mean, that's the main thing. You're screwing yourself out of money. That's the biggest thing. Every time you sell tickets, they want to put you on a card. They want to pay you more. They want to give you a ticket percentage, like a higher ticket percentage because you're busting your ass. I sold tickets all the way up until the day of my fight. I almost got arrested the night of weigh-ins at the Donnie Walker fight because I was running tickets back and forth out of my house and someone thought I was selling drugs. That's how hard I hustle tickets. I'm out here hustling. Yeah, thankfully I had a poster. I ran in and showed the cop, and he actually had heard me on the X morning show a couple of days before. I was on the Tim Benz morning show, and that's the only reason he fucking knew who I was. I'm like, I'm not selling anything. I'm just selling tickets. It was great. He pulled up as I was leaving. I was walking around my buddy's car. He just handed me money. So I had a big wad of money in my hand, and he drove off, and the cop pulls up. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Where'd you get that money, son?
Yeah. So that was it. I had to run in the house, get a poster. So that was interesting. Now we got a bunch of billboards up here. There's one actually right in Bluefield. So hopefully all the cops see it and understand I'm just out here hustling tickets, trying to make a living, Adam said we don't get paid much for fighting. That's the truth. You got to really hustle your ass off on tickets and sponsors to really make yourself marketable and make that money so that it's worth it. We're getting in there. We're putting our bodies on the line.
Who is Ed Cap? Is he one of your managers?
He is one of my,
guy you know?
Yeah, he's one of my managers.
I talk with him quite frequently about a lot of his clients and interviews and such, and every time he's like, Mark Cherico. I'm like, I know Mark. I'm talking
Ed's a good dude.
10 weeks away from your fight. You want to talk to Mark Cherico? Yeah, we'll talk to Mark Cherico in time, Ed. I know you like Mark. He likes you.
Yeah, he's a good dude. Ed's a solid guy. He handles a lot of my sponsorships and stuff, and he works like hand in hand with Charles McCarthy. So it's a nice little duo to be working with.
So this is a weird thing. Your teammate that we just talked to, Adam, is fighting one of Ed's clients, Nick Smiley.
Yeah, that always makes for interesting. It was cool because I had mentioned to McCarthy, he goes, yeah, I understand it. It's part of the business. So he never asked me any questions or anything like that. I just said, Adam's a good fighter. I'm sure Nick, if he's working with Nick must be a good fighter. So it should be a good fight.
Absolutely. Do you get to enjoy the show? I know when you're not fighting, you're busy in the corner, busy with all the...
I've never got to enjoy a Pinnacle show in my life.
Not even when you're in the main event, you can sit back there and chill the whole time. Do you get to
No,
chill?
I don't watch any. I don't watch any of the fights. I sleep. I listen to music. I'm here to have a good time. The fight's a party. I never got into fighting because I hated any one particular person, so I'm never mad at an opponent. I mean, that dumb shit. I'm just there to fight, and have some fun. So in the back, I'm just gearing up, waiting. Get my hands wrapped, hang out for a little bit, maybe eat something, tell a couple jokes, take a nap, dance a little, whatever. Get some pass, and then go do work.
None of that involves watching any of the fights.
No, I try. I mean, I might walk out for a little bit, but I really don't like to watch the fight.
I'm with you.
And it sucks because sometimes there's fights that I really want to see. And I just got to wait for Layshaw to post them on, stand them up like the next couple of days to watch them. And it's hard because you want your fight to get ran first. Like the last thing I wanted to do, I remember the one time he posted Thompson's fight and somebody else's fight. I'm like, I really wanted to watch their fights, but I really want to watch my own fight. So,
Well, Mark, we're almost out of time, and I know you have a bedtime story to read. I appreciate you doing this. July 12th, main event, Pinnacle Fighting Championships 8. You know how we do it before we let you go. Turn it over to you for that long list of sponsors and shout-outs.
Oh, yeah, we got a laundry list of sponsors. I got to thank my teammates at Fight Club Pittsburgh, all the guys at Henry Gracie Pittsburgh who've been helping me get ready for this fight. Mark Angle, Bob Meese, Lou, our jiu-jitsu coach, Anthony Renault, our Muay Thai coach. I got to thank Umberger Performance, Scott Umberger, Giant Eagle, Synergy Media Group, Synergy Investment, High Voltage are the guys that sent me down to the American Top Team. Great mouth guards for hooking me up with a great mouth guard for the fight. And there's so many flipping sponsors. Cadoba, EAS Roofing, JSK Flooring, If there's anybody else I forgot, I apologize. I always forget how many sponsors I flipping have. You can follow me at Mark Cherico MMA, and I have a fan page on Facebook. It's just Mark Cherico.
Well, as always, man, I appreciate you doing this. We're looking forward to the fight. Until then, stay healthy in training camp. Enjoy yourself, and we'll talk again soon.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me. Take care.
There you guys go. The pride of Bloomfield, Mark Cherico. Main event, once again, Pinnacle Fighting Championship 8. And with that, we are off the air. I feel like that was a good Cherico interview, Juan.
Not only was that a good Mark, the pride of Bloomfield, Cherico interview, but Adam, the prototype Milstead.
I know, we got to get him back on. We got to do a one-on-one.
We do. That was, honestly, if we would have got those two at the beginning of the show, I have a feeling that those two could have taken up the whole night.
For real. That's strange, when you've got Cherico's manager. Ed Cap is an awesome guy. I got to give a shout out to Ed. I've got hooked up with some great fighters. Mostly, I think we're having Nick on Pro MMA Now Thursday night. And he's done a blog for us. So if you've not checked that out on ProMMANow.com, the Nick Smiley blog, he's got a great story, man. Nick was a guy who was a boxer earlier in his day, never gave a shit about mixed martial arts. The guy, his mentor, I think it was his uncle, died, and his life went to shit. Started selling drugs, went to jail, came out, took a fight, and the rest is history. Life is completely turned around.
That's good to hear.
So there's redemption. See, that means there's redemption for you.
I have seen the light now, Gary. Thanks for shining it upon me.
We're going to do our off-the-air segment with the one and only Aaron Garrett, which will be available tomorrow probably on YouTube and LiveSportscaster.com. We'll probably go on LiveSportscaster.com first just because I can do that fast. Don't have the rendering and all that. But we want to thank our guests.
I can do that fast because I see the rendering already.
Thank Luis Guerra. Thank Mark Cherico, Adam Milstead, and all you crazy guys for tuning in. I just hung up on Juan. He annoys me a lot. We'll be back next week. We might be back next week. I'm not sure. We got some big fights. We got Gladiators of the Cage coming up. If you go to BluegrassMMA.com, look on our sideboard, you can see our posters of upcoming fights. Of course, you got the Pinnacle fight there. You've got the Gladiators of the Cage fight, and you've got the IT Fight Series poster up right there. Some highlighted events that we're looking forward to. Remember, audible.com, audibletrial.com/ProMMA now. Get you a free month and a free book. BangtownFightwear.com, onit.com, the Knockout Hour. You know how we do it. It's over. We're done. It's a wrap. See you next week. Peace.
You've been listening to the Ohio Valley's #1 source for MMA, broadcasting on the ProMMANow.com radio network. Brought to you by Bangtown Fightwear, Bluegrass MMA Live. Join your host Juan Valley and Gary Thomas again for Bluegrass MMA Live. And remember, fighters first, fans always.